I have to correct. The first monthly community call was on mid-September 2014, but it wasn't recorded. And starting from December 2014, we started recording them, and we put them in channel 9, which does not exist anymore.
Channel 9.
I forgot about channel 9.
Yes, until we moved to YouTube. So
yeah.
Channel 9, for those that don't know, was like the floppy disk of all the YouTube content when it was out.
We are live with the community. This is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Development bi-weekly call. We are almost to the midway of August. Where is the year going? Well, what they say, time flies when you're having fun. And these calls are part of that, everybody. So let's see what we got in store for us today. We're going to talk about the latest updates on the community. We're going to cover the Copilot prompt of the week, see a Jim Duncan contribution. So we're excited for that. PNP.NET libraries and PowerShell. We'll get the latest on script samples and Pro Dev samples, Power Platform samples. We've got a plethora of samples. And then we're going to have that wonderful, fantastic face opportunity with picture time. So get those cameras ready. And then we'll move into 3 amazing presenters of the day. Dennis is here. He's going to share managed SharePoint sites using AI SharePoint MCP server. So we're excited for that. Chris is back. He's the horse whisperer. He's going to talk us through some list formatting tips and tricks, and I'm sure it's going to wow us all. And then I'll cover it and round it out with some Power Apps, YAML snippets, tips and tricks, hard-coded sample data creation. And we're going to see another visit from the boss man. So we're looking forward to that. All right, well, what is on deck for you in terms of resources available in the community? We have a number of them. It starts with our Microsoft Community Learning Videos YouTube channel. This is a YouTube channel that we run, and we break all the rules in all the right ways. They tell us all the time, you should probably post less, everybody, because you'll get better statistics. And we say, nope, we want to showcase everyone in the community as much as possible. So that means we have new content coming out daily, sometimes multiple times in the day. So go subscribe and like those videos. Let the community know that you're enjoying them and benefiting by them. It's a great way to get involved as well. We've got our LinkedIn group for discussions. We've got our open source tooling. As I mentioned, we've got our sample galleries, many of which we'll cover here on the call today. You don't have to remember all of these URLs, only 1 or 2 maybe. aka.ms/community/home will give you access to that, along with the top level fancy community.ms that we've got. So use either one of those URLs and you'll get access to all of these amazing resources. Now you're on a call, so hopefully we mean that you like calls. Well, we've got plenty more. We've got our Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly call. Now this is with Microsoft speakers. For the rest of this month, though, it's a community takeover, so we've got a mixture of community members as well as Microsoft speakers. But this one is special because you get it directly from that horse's mouth, right? Yep, that horse. The mothership, all those program managers and product managers are sharing the updates and status on their projects and areas in which you can keep up to date. We've also got our monthly Power Platform call, which is occurring next week. We've got our monthly Office add-ins call, and we've got our bi-weekly sibling call. So this is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community you're on now, and then every other week is the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework. Every Thursday, 7 a.m. Pacific, you can always count on these calls being available to you. You can get the recurrent invites at ak.ms/community/calls. Get them on your calendar. They are like a crystal ball into what's now, what's new, what's next. It's a great way to keep up to date. Speaking of one, on Tuesday, we're going to see a couple of demos. One is from Ika Boss on Integrate Azure AI Foundry Agent with M365 Agents SDK. And then one of the hackathon entries is going to be here. Bruce is going to cover SharePoint Hackathon Eco Guardian's homepage SharePoint portal. So those are wonderful opportunities. We're able to see all those SharePoint submissions, SharePoint Hackathon submissions, and the information that everyone is getting. Now, if you're watching our demos today and you think, you know what, I've got some cool things to share. I would love to actually share with others and share my passion. Well, we want you to, so don't hesitate. Don't overthink it. Absolutely go to this URL, aka.ms/community/request/demo. We will get back to you, fill in the form, and we'll get back to you and get you scheduled. We've got a number of slots that are coming up available here soon. So please don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be like a flux capacitor, what makes time travel possible. Absolutely, if you're willing to come in and share your passion, even if you're a first timer, we welcome first timers. Let us know. We'll even work with you and buddy up. So don't hesitate. And then if you're watching some of these samples and you think, I've got some cool samples I want to contribute to, but I've heard that it uses that GitHub thing, and that thing's scary with phrases like fork and blame and raw. It just sounds a little bit too scary for me. And the interface is absolutely horrible. Well, don't worry. Sharing is Caring is here to provide guidance for you. So we're getting these sessions scheduled out now that summer is coming to an end, gave everybody a little opportunity to recharge their batteries. These sessions are live, they're hands-on, and they are opportunities to learn how to do things like contribute. We will walk you through in a live session that is not recorded, so it's a safe space to ask any and all questions that you would like without fear of going on record, because sometimes we second guess asking a question if we think it's going to be recorded. So we want you to feel empowered and safe to learn together. So it's a great opportunity. Keep an eye on ak.ms/sharingiscaring for the next schedule. And then once you do reach out and contribute, we want to recognize you with the award-winning best-in-class community recognition program because of all of you. These badges are fun, they are accredited, they are real, they show you're making a difference in the community and you're contributing to the betterment of the technology. We're in the middle of superhero season, so we've got our Superhero Porcupine Rises. This is the bonus badge you will get if you contribute and earn all the 4 other badges. It is absolutely free. We cover the cost. Just need to opt into ak.ms/community/recognition, and we will make sure that we track the work that you're doing. You only need to opt in once, no problem, and we will ensure that you get all those badges that you deserve. And again, speaking of superhero season, we want to give a shout out to Louisa. She's our next contributor to achieve all 5 badges. So congratulations, Louisa, along with Bo Cameron and Gotham have already gotten them. So we really want to say thank you to all of our contributors. You could be next, so get out there and contribute. Let us know if you have any questions. Now let's get into some project-specific updates. We're going to start with our PNP library. Now this is another great way to get involved in the community. Very lightweight, low-hanging fruit opportunity. We've all got now these prompts that we've likely been curating and maturing, and we're starting to share them with others. Share them with the community. Super easy way. All you got to do is do the contribution through GitHub. And again, if that's unfamiliar to you, Sharing is Caring can help you out there. But we all likely have these prompts where we've gotten that love language with AI and learning how to interact with it and enhance it and improve it. So definitely share that. You can get access to that at ak.ms/PNP prompt library. And you could also be the prompt of the week. So congratulations, Tim, on this. Or Jim. I don't think so, Tim. Jim Duncan is our prompt of the week. I love this one because I use this pretty heavily. You run out of space tokens on your AI chats and your threads. And so it's like you try to move on and it says, hey, sorry, you're out of luck. And you're like, oh my goodness, I got all this history. Well, this one says, I won't read it all verbatim, but I've got one response left. So can you help me start a new chat? So it summarizes a prompt for you, which is really, really, really cool. And absolutely very useful. I use this all the time to start a new thread, start a new chat. So Jim, great job. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get into PNP.NET libraries with Bert.
Yes, thank you, David. So for PNP.NET, we have a really cool feature, I would say, a feature where we have been waiting for quite a while, but we finally have it in both libraries in CoreSK and Framework, and that's support for flexible sections in the page API. So we ship those really fancy pages now. You can move content wherever you want it. You can overlap content. You can resize it. All this flexibility is great to build pages. Now you can do the same thing with the page API. So it's a great work done by Christian Zulik. And then next, Vasco Azevedo did work on some improvements in the provisioning of footers in the PNP Framework provisioning engine. So that's it, but great work on the Pages API. Documentation is not there yet, but there are unit tests that show how to use this if you want to already start using it, but we'll work on documentation and additional improvements like support for PowerShell, etc. That will come over time. But with that, let's move to code time for PowerShell.
Awesome, thank you. I love, by the way, how flexible PNP.NET libraries has become. Get it? Flexible. Awesome, great job. It's very exciting. That's an awesome addition. I know everyone's gonna be excited about that. So thanks, Bert. All right, Gotham, you're up. Tell me a little bit more about PowerShell.
Hey, David, thanks. And thanks, Bert, as well, for the update around the flexible layouts. It would be great to have that in PNP PowerShell. So yeah, we have been a bit silent because of the summer going on here, but things have going to pick up now. What we have done in the latest net builds is we improved a bunch of commandlets. So set and get PNP tenant site. They have now received new parameter supports. Same goes with improvements in set PNP home set. So there was a bug which was causing it to not work properly under certain conditions. So we fixed that, and same goes with the add PNP data rows to site template. So we also improved the validation around that side of the thing. So whenever you want to create new SharePoint list items and all that, this has now improved a lot. What else? We added the force parameter to remove PNP term label, so you won't be asked for confirmation prompts as well. What else? We are working hard on. We'll be basically adding the flexible layouts and the support for site pages as well in the coming 2 weeks. Besides that, if you run into any particular issues, do reach out to us on GitHub. And thanks. Over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Gautam. Great job on that, and appreciate everyone in the community contributing to that as well. 54,000 tenants and 62 billion requests in a month. That is insane numbers. So thank you, everybody, for contributing. Okay, let's move into script samples with Paul Bullock.
Well, thank you, David. So script samples, if you didn't know, is a repository where you can share your PowerShell scripts and Bash scripts with the community. So, we support tooling like Microsoft Graph, PHP PowerShell, SPA management shell. So once those new commandlets get out, then you can have a play and then perhaps contribute back to the repo, which will be super, super cool. So we've got a new sample from Reshmi Akli to apply out of the box SharePoint site design. So it was a bit of an interesting one, actually. So well done for submitting that. And we have more coming soon. We've got another couple of PLs in the repo, so they'll be advertised soon. So when I get to process them, but there is a badge for any contributions. If you are interested in contributions, we have a badge system as well as part of that recognition as well. And if you, of course, need any help contributing, then by all means, please reach out to me. I'm available on multiple social media platforms, and we'll absolutely keen to help you out with your samples. Back to you, David, and then back to me again.
Back to you.
Ping pong, ping pong. So this is the Copilot Pro Dev Samples library. So I'm helping out with this repo as like a poster boy, really, or dartboard if you have any issues. But essentially, this is a repo where you can share your Copilot Pro Dev samples with the community, so declarative agents or those with API plugins and TypeScript implementations, and more. And we've got a couple of new submissions, a bit odd praising myself, but so I submitted the PNP script samples agent that I presented last week on Thursday to the repo, so that's in there and available for you to use if you wish. And then we've got a new one from Sarab for the CLI for M365 helper, and there is more on the way. I just saw one that got approved, so there's new samples being added all the time. So absolutely check those out. And again, if you need any help contributing on the same premise, you can feel free to reach out to me. I can certainly help you get started. We did do a little recording last week on the on how to do the submissions and how to get them in a state that would be really cool. So if you're interested in doing that, then you've got all the references you need. But yeah, thank you very much for your contributions, and back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. You missed the opportunity to say, allow myself to thank myself for contributing. So I will thank you, Paul. Great job. You are always working hard for the community. So thank you very much. All right, let's get into Power Platform samples with Kate.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. Hi, everyone. And we are already halfway through the last month of the summer. And I'm guessing many of you are enjoying some well-deserved vacation time. So we do not have any additional sample, snippet, and prompt this week. But I would like to take a moment to thank all of our amazing contributors who keep helping this collection grow. And right now we have fantastic lineup. We have 70 samples, 50 snippets, and 120 prompts. So just wow. And if you would like to join in, we would like to have you. And we are always happy to see more from our existing contributors too. If you're not sure where to start, ping me and we'll figure it out together. So wishing you all amazing end of the summer, and let's keep building and growing together. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you. I love the round numbers, everybody, for all those samples and snippets and prompts. But hey, we would love to break them up. So get those contributions in there. So thank you. Excellent job, Kate. Thank you. All right. Well, what time is it, everybody? It is picture time. So let's get those cameras turned on and those fantastic faces ready. I will move this over here and give you an opportunity to do that. Get those cameras on. I see Vessa's warming up. Excellent. He's got the arms going. We'll move this over and move that over and move all the things over. All right, there we go. We are doing just about on time, so we got just a little second. See Kate. Oh, Kate and Denis are hanging out with me in the back row. Thank you. Awesome. Love it. All right, just another second, everybody. Let's get. Oh, look at. Can we like low five, high five? All right. Let's give it just another second for those that are trying. I know Teams sometimes a little latent with getting its camera activated. There's Paul coming in. All right, good. All right, excellent. We'll give it just another second or two, and there we go. See a couple more coming in. Wonderful, thank you all. Let's give it just another second or two. Okay, we'll do the countdown. So let's do 3, 2, 1, and let's wave to the community, everybody. Great to see you all again. Thank you for all the hard work that you are doing each and every week to share your passion with the community. Opportunities, calls, events like this are not possible without all that you give into the community each and every single week. So we really appreciate and cannot say thank you enough. So excellent. Okay, well, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program here, and we are going to move into our presenters for the day, and that is going to kick us off with Denis. So Denis, if you'd like to take on over the screen share, he's going to cover manage SharePoint sites using AI SharePoint MCP server. And all right, I see your screen. If you just want to throw that in a presentation mode, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, David. I'm going to show you how you can chat to SharePoint. You can ask it to show you some data, modify some data, maybe change navigation, download something. My name is Denis Molodtsov. I love automating everything. I live in Toronto, and I'm a Microsoft 365 architect. A few months ago, I created a so-called MCP server that can control SharePoint sites. You can probably use it for SharePoint server as well, but mostly I use it for SharePoint Online. Before MCP technology was available, for every LLM, for every vendor, you would need to create your own connector custom solution if you wanted to teach it to talk to a certain service. When the Model Context Protocol was released or defined several months ago, now it became possible to create one implementation to, let's say, talk to SharePoint. And now you can use any LLM, any vendor, any tool with this Model Context Protocol to control, let's say, SharePoint or Azure. It makes it very simple to create integrations. So I created one for SharePoint, and I'm going to show it to you. So a very quick example. This is a SharePoint site, and it has a SharePoint list. I'm using Cloud Desktop in this case, but you could use other LLMs that support MCP protocol. I'm going to ask it to get list items from this SharePoint list. So using the MCP server, it'll reach to my site, which I think it didn't. I forgot to let it know which site I used. Actually, this is the site. One cool thing about this MCP server implementation, you can connect it to the entire tenant. So it's not specific for one SharePoint site. So now it's retrieved all list items from this list. And on purpose, I only created 3 so that we don't have to wait for it to show all of them. So another sample, add this list to the left navigation. So yeah, it doesn't exist yet, but it'll add it to the left navigation in a second. Okay, so if I refresh the screen, yeah, there you go. This is a navigation link added by Claude. Now let's do another simple task. We'll ask it to rename this SharePoint site. Okay, it's done. So there you go. It renamed it. So this is a demo. So how does it even work? So there is a GitHub page I created repo called server SharePoint. It has all the steps and explanation as to how to set it up. Very briefly, for the most part, all you need is the either SharePoint only app or the Azure app registration. I prefer using Claude for using this MCP server, but you can use other clients like Gemini, maybe Copilot agents, maybe Rue or Klein. It's your preference. So there's a detailed manual on how to set it up. You can also use the Azure app registration with certificates, and also created a script that you can run on your computer to create the Azure app registration with the certificate, so things will be easier for you. So what is this MCP server? I packaged it as an NPM package. So to run it, your computer needs to have Node.js installed. But later, all you have to do is to configure Claude with this. So it'll make sure the npx used to download this npm package, and it'll run on your computer locally and help whatever MCP client you have to talk to SharePoint. I'll show you a few more examples. So the examples I showed you were very basic. Let's do something more advanced. I'll ask it to find the latest 3 items from the Microsoft 365 roadmap related to SharePoint. Please create a SharePoint list called Microsoft 365 Roadmap SharePoint Features on this site, and push these items to the list. Create columns as needed, and make sure to include them on a default view. Shorten the description for 15 words. I did this on purpose so that you don't have to wait for too long. So trying to search for things. Okay. It's taking a bit longer than I expected, but it found some 3 features. Now, hopefully it'll create a SharePoint list item. It's doing all of these actions using SharePoint REST API. So in this particular case, we're not using PNP or Graph API. It's just pure SharePoint REST API. I was thinking about expanding it to add Graph API or maybe PNP, but for now, it's just using REST. So the list should be already here. So this is the list, just got created. Now it creates fields. So I can already see it created all the necessary fields, which is great. Roadmap ID, release date. So now what does it do? Now it's updating the default view. Nice. So it just creates 1 column at a time in the view. Just keep refreshing to see new view fields added. I think this is the last field. Okay, so it created all the fields. Pretty cool. Now it creates list items. It uses batch to speed it up. So if things go well, it should add 3 items like all at once. All right, so if I refresh, there you go. We don't have too much time left, but I can show you a few other prompts that I can ask it to complete. For example, add this to the left navigation. then another prompt, you can ask it to import the local file from your computer, let's say the list of engineers, to SharePoint. Just gonna interrupt it so that it can do this task. We're not gonna wait for it to finish, but the point is, for example, you have a list of engineers in a spreadsheet like this. You can ask your LLM to read it and import it to SharePoint. Another cool trick you can ask is to copy this list or any list you want to a different site with all fields, views, and list items. There are some recommendations I want to mention. So this tool, as you can see, it edits some data. So I don't recommend it for now using it in production, just to be clear. And if you are afraid to use it even in your environment, which is used for testing, you can uncheck or disallow any tools in this MCP server that do actions like delete, create, update, and only leave the read-only get actions. I use it for testing and demos in my personal dev environment. I honestly really love this this tool. It helps me create a quick samples. So I hope you like it. If you have a chance, please have a look at this repository. Okay, thanks everyone. Over to you, David.
Awesome, Denis. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, really love how we're seeing at the forefront of all this. Chris, feel free to take on over the screen share as I get you introduced. And really appreciate you coming in and showcasing this to the community. I feel like we're starting to see how some of this can be used. The MCP servers can be used in a variety of ways, along with the AI and all that good stuff. So very, very cool. Thank you for sharing with the community. We'll get those links shared out in the chat as well as in the description. All right, well, as I mentioned, we're going to move into our next demo with the one and only horse warrior, horse whisperer, Chris Kent. Wowee us all, Chris. The floor is yours.
All right, I'll assume you're seeing it.
I am, yep.
Wow, that's me. That's exciting. All right, let's move over to our list. No, that's not a list. So sorry. You can stare at my exciting code here while I find my list. There we go. All right, so we're going to head on over to our Warrior Horses site. And let me move this on over here, where I have a list where the Warrior Horses, of course, all horses are, of course, very interested in murder and death. But Warrior Horses bring a science and an art to it. And so as a part of that, they like to perform autopsies. And, of course, when they do those autopsies, they often make some autopsies. And so they like to track what kind of autopsies happen during those autopsies, right? So as a part of that, they like to find out what different oops happened with all the different horse chunks. So of course they put that in a SharePoint list, as anyone would, right? Let's make that a little bigger. There we go. All right, so the idea here is we've just got, you know, when it was performed, who did the slicing, right? What horse chunk was affected, and what exactly happened? Was it eaten? Was it lost? Was it exploded? You know, you get the idea here. All right, so what we're going to talk about here is something we've talked about a few times, but I want to go a little more in depth and talk about a couple of the changes that have happened, and that is the idea of hover cards. Wow! There we go. All right, so the most obvious example is we get these people cards, right? So these are pretty cool. So if you've got a person column, multi-person column, doesn't matter. You get these people cards. You do get this lovely effect if you don't have a mailbox. If you haven't seen that, ooh, something went wrong. Who doesn't love that? All right, but most likely, most of your users have mailboxes. But horses here, these horses can't read. So sad. All right, but this is wonderful, right? But what if I want to apply a format? And we've taken a look at this before. So if I come over here and I go to column settings, I'm going to format this column. I'm going to go to advanced mode. I'm actually going to turn off the enhanced formatter for now. And then I'm going to go grab my little format that I put in a different window than that one. Anyone else have too many windows? So silly. Let's move it over here. All right, perfect. Now we'll just grab a lovely person code. Get out of here, code. I got too much code. There we go. All right, I'm going to grab this guy, and I'm just going to paste him. We'll take a look at what happened inside there. So let's preview that. And this is a very fairly straightforward sample here. The idea is it just shows their name, and if they've got a department, it shows it, right? So most of the people here don't have departments. You know, well, why keep up with intro, right? But the way this works is a very basic format. It's just got two different divs here, one that has the title and one has the department. That's great. But part of the problem is I just wanted to apply a quick format so I could show a little more detail on the list, but I lost my people card, which is one of the coolest features in M365 in terms of SharePoint. That's just a really nice contextual piece that's very nice. So what we could do is we could just add that right back in, right? So we can come up here. Let's just go right in here. And what we can do is something called the default hover card right there. And here you can specify the field name. I believe we can type in @current field, so we don't even need to know what it is. Let's see, let's preview that guy. And we come back over here, and maybe we can't do the preview @current field. I can't remember. Maybe not. I was lying. That used to work. We'll just type it in ourselves. Slicer, right? So the idea is we just type in the internal name of the column. Let's preview that. I'll come over here. Oh, don't fail me now. Let's save it and we'll refresh. Here we go. Oh, doopsies, come on. Bring me a people card. This is very sad. All right, well, in most cases, you would get a people card. Let me just see what we did here. Let's try that one more time. If you spot the problem there, you feel free to announce it in the chat here. All right, there we go. Let's see, what did we type in? We typed in our default hover field was slicer. We put it right there on that guy. That should have been good enough. So let's see. Why does it not work? I don't know. But the idea is you should be able to apply those to yourself. I will tell you I'm also having trouble. There's one other area where you get a hover card, so it's just for people fields. But then you can also get the hover card effect for in your document libraries if you put this on the file name, which, as we all know, is named file leaf ref internally. I will say, in addition to this, I've had some other issues with the default hover cards all morning, those not showing up. So we're just going to ignore that and move on to the exciting part, which would be a custom card prop. Okay, and we're going to hope for the best on that. Right, so in here, right, if I went to edit this guy, you know, I open it up and I edit it, we might see that in terms of horse chunks, this is a very long list. In fact, there are over 50 different horse chunks in here. Oh my, that's a lot of chunks of horse you could lose, eat, or explode, right? And so we want to track all that, but that can be difficult to sort through that, right? So one of the things we can do is we can start to use things like custom hover cards to help sort through that. So let's look at what that might look like, say, on here. Well, let's just put it on another one. Over right here. Column settings, we're just going to format this column. All right, it's got a default one which has all this stuff. That's lovely. Let's just go to the very bottom. Right, where we're going to attach our own. And all we would say is custom card props here. Right, and then we're going to have different things. So we have to have this open on event. Right, so it's either click or hover. We'll keep it on click for now. And then a formatter, this is just like any other column format, right? So we're going to type Elm type, and we're going to say our text content is, of course, wowee, right? We can make that an expression. We can do whatever we wanted. Let's preview that, and let's hope for a hover card. My gosh, this is going to be difficult without hover cards. Why? Why? Something with my sharing? What could it be? This is the saddest I've ever been. Well, let's grab a pre-done one, and we'll see if that works for us. All right, column settings, format this column. One of the tricks I like to show a lot, right, is this guy right here. It's my very favorite thing, which is the inline edit field. I think I show it about every other demo, right? And we can say @current field, and we have to put a colon, not a comma, right? And when we do that, we get editing capabilities. We're not getting anything. What is happening here? None of my formats are being applied. David, save me. What's happening?
Maybe try a refresh?
Yeah, let's try a full-on refresh here. Oh, there we go. Now we've got something showing up. So I'll just paste the format. We're just going to skip ahead here. We'll just take a look. You'll notice I pasted an almost 3,000 line format in here. It was a great idea. You're going to love it. Here, let's take a look. So the idea here is that I can hover over this, and now I see those divided into subsections, right? So now I've got, instead of 50 cards, I don't know if it's my zoom or what. Okay, let's save.
It's like
let's
a game show.
It is an exciting game show. We're not getting any of our stuff showing up where we wanted to. Let me just reset my zoom. How about that? There, we'll just see it tiny, and maybe sometimes Zoom can have wonderful effects on our code. My gosh. Okay, we're just gonna it's gonna be a trust me demo. Okay, but the idea is we get cascading drop downs. This particular sample is called the horse chunk cascade. That's unimportant to this demo, but I just really like that I got to call it that. But the idea is here is I can pick individual items, so I've got them sorted out into subsections, right? And then I can pick them, and I'm using the set value, and I can say girth area, right? Instead of the inline edit field, which is long. Oh, there's my WowE. That showed up finally, so that's exciting. What do we get? Our people cards over here? No, we're not. Oh, there's our people cards. All right, so apparently if you just wait 5 or 6 minutes, talk nervously during a demo, they will show up. So that's a key formatting tip for you. All right. But the idea here is I did apply that to my own format. I get all of the fancy stuff on that default hover card, maybe. Let's see. We got it once, and that's more we could ask for. But you'll see even there, we get all of those same features, right? So we get that update your profile. Everything just works, which is really nice, even with our custom format. That really helps in, like, say, your tile cards, your gallery views, or your full-on view formats. It can be really helpful to integrate these things and get all of that nice features that people expect here. So definitely use the default hover cards. It plugs in really nicely. All right, there we go. Perfect. Okay, now let's take a look at this guy one more time. Oh, we got to be quick. We got to be quick. Oh, man. Okay. Woo! All right, well, we've seen it before. All right, but the idea here is I can do things like, you can see I've got submenus here. Here I don't have submenus. Here I even a combination of submenus where I've put my reproductive, well, not mine. I put reproductive organs in their own menu, right? And all of their other innards. But the idea is I'm using this set value, and I can change those things at any time. So let's look at that format a little more in depth. We'll just get out of the list interface altogether because I'm feeling sad about it. All right. So this format, the idea here is we put custom card props everywhere, and you can see there's a ton of extra styling junk everywhere. But what I'm trying to point out here is that custom card props can be nested within each other. You can go full on custom card prop inception. Wow! And that can be really, really confusing for your users or interesting depending on how you do it. And in each of those, you're going to get a few things, right? So you get this open on event, which is going to be either hover, or it's going to be click, right? So the difference there is when you hover over it, it'll open versus click. For a menu like this, click is probably a very good way to do it, right? Make sure you're doing things like setting your cursor to a pointer and so on. There's also this directional hint. Now it is, to be clear, a hint, right? So it is not guaranteed that it will show up exactly where that is based on how big the window is, what else is going on, right? How big your content is, and so on. It'll do its best case version of that. The default is right center. So the idea is it will align with the right edge of your list item. So that may not necessarily be the end of your format, right? It's the end of whatever div or object you put this on, right? If that's full width, you might be surprised by that. It might look like it's over a little far. So just be aware of that, and you can move those things around. But you can specify all these other ones. I will show you the full list of what's available to you. And then, of course, you can turn that beak on or off. That's that little triangle that shows up, right? So you can turn it. It's on by default, and you can turn it off by placing false here, and that will get rid of that thing. And then there's even, which is something we didn't have way back when we first got this. There's beak style. Now, beak style is pretty cool because I could it's like any other style except it's applied directly to that beak, that little triangle, right? So I could apply all sorts of things like here I put a background color of black, which is an annoyance of mine because I would much rather be able to put neutral primary or something like that, but I cannot apply classes. I can only apply styles to the beak. And because the custom card props are in their own floating object, it can't inherit any styles from the parent. Very, very sad. But just be aware of that. If you're doing some beak styles, they may not be theme styled exactly, right? So if you just leave them their default style, they will be white, and they will match the theme if you go to a dark theme. Okay. All right, and then finally there is the format which we talked about, and all of this is just like any other column format. I can just put it all in here. All the same thing is supported, and in fact, as we go further down, we start to see more custom card props. That's right. We got more and more and more menus all the way down, and if we keep going further down, now we're in the head, and we come down here. Ooh, we got our first here. If we're trying to set the pole, which is that lovely part between the ears on a horse, we do this custom row action. And this is where we're saying, hey, whenever someone clicks on this particular item, what I want you to do is set the value of the horse chunk column to this value, which is pole. Okay, and you'll see that's just repeated over and over, forehead, and so on. So this is maybe not a great idea. Why I say that is because this is pretty labor intensive to do all this, right? Even if you're mostly just copying and pasting. The other thing I'll say with this is that it is not going to update as you change things, right? But that's going to be true anytime you customize the format of a choice column and you take away those pills. You're going to get away from the pill stuff. Now, the reason I have all the pills is, as you might have guessed, I just kept their format, and I just went down to the bottom of the children list and added my custom card props myself. Okay, all right. So that's good. Let's jump back to the slides, and we'll see what's going on with those. Woo! We'll summarize these things up. So that default hover field we talked about briefly. I said you can use that current field. That should be true. I'm not sure what was going on today. But doing that means that you just get the default hover field for whatever field you're on. But again, since it's really only person field or the file leafref, which is the name of the file, it's not going to be great. And then there used to be, well, let's go. This is overridden. So if you do both default hover field and custom card props wins. Wow. People fields and the file leafref. And then, of course, there used to be a restriction that it could only apply to children elements. So the root element, you couldn't apply that to. That is no longer the case. Yay! So that's good. All right, now the custom card props. I promised you this list of the directional hints. Here they all are. Take note. Very exciting. So mostly they just center around the different edges. Again, when you see edge, that means that's the edge of the format itself that it will align to. Right. So again, that default is right center. So it'll be right up. So if this is the edge of the format, it'll be right here. Then there's the beak, and then there's it is, right? Kind of like what we're seeing here. All right, but try those out. For this sample, I was using the bottom left edge so that I was aligned with the left edge on the bottom, so just right underneath. Okay. And then, of course, there's the is beak visible, and then the beak style, which we covered. All right, finally, there are a ton of samples for you, all showing off the default hover card, showing off the custom card props. The custom card props are used all over the place for all sorts of things. Much more than just the cascading stuff. We've got them for light boxes, image previews. We can even have some edit forms inside there. We've got a couple that have like a Visio chart in them that show a full flow. There's all sorts of really, really good use cases with the custom card props. Highly recommend. They will still work in the Microsoft list. They'll work in the list view web parts and so on. So that's it for me, David. Wowee!
Wowee! Awesome, Chris. Very, very cool. Thank you for sharing that. Excellent. Wowee! Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, so we are going to get into our last demo of the day, and that's going to be moi. So allow myself to introduce myself, Power Apps, YAML snippets, and tips and tricks, hard-coded sample data creation. So let's get into it. We are going to talk about those things called Power Platform snippets. Now, these are available to you via Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio. We're going to focus on Power Apps today for that. Just a little tidbit, April and myself are usually doing this. She's off this week, but did want to mention we do cover these in depth on both of our YouTube channels. So if you like it, then definitely go check out, like and subscribe, smash that subscribe button. We always appreciate it, but we try to cover as much as possible. Okay, so what is the agenda for this session today? What are snippets? If you're not familiar, we're going to talk briefly about that. We're going to talk a little bit about snippet modularity, and then we're also going to cover prepared data for snippets because that's important. You want them to be modular, and then we're going to give you some resources to round it out. So what are these snippets? Well, they are modular pieces of Power Apps or Power Platform code that is kind of lift and shift. You can move them around. I mean, heck, you could even email them to someone if you wanted, and they can copy and paste as long as the format is all correct. It uses, when I talk about format, it uses something called YAML. And so this is a long history of being renamed. It was originally yet another markup language, and then it got renamed to YAML ain't markup language. It's essentially a cousin-like of JSON or XML. It's got a very specific hierarchical syntax around it that allows you to identify the information that is associated to your Power Platform controls, whether that's something like a button or a whole screen or a gallery, which is what we're going to talk about today. So what I wanted to feature on was that if you are creating gallery data within your Power App, you want to and you want to create a YAML snippet out of it, then you don't want it to be using data that won't carry with it. You want it to be modular. So that means that you're probably going to need to get some hard-coded sample data for snippets in there. And what that also means is that if you're connecting to any other data source like SharePoint or Excel even, or Dataverse, then it's not going to carry over with it by default. So you need to actually take some steps to do that. And there are a number of ways to do that. I'm just showcasing a couple of ways today. Don't by any means expect or assume that what I'm sharing is the 2 ways that you must do it. These are just a couple of ways, and likely everyone has some of their favorite ways in which those can be done. So take it for what it is. And so what we want to do is we want to talk about, oh, hold on. I'm getting a call here from I think it's my boss. Hold on. Give me just 1 second. Hello, boss man, you there? Wow, that is a lot to unpack, boss man. Okay, let me see if I can get this straight. What you said is that you saw my tip on hard coding data, but you're specifically using Dataverse and Excel, and you have no idea how to do that, right? So you tried to just copy and paste it. It wasn't working. You were seeing some data, but not all, and so that could be a problem, right? Is that what you said? Yep. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. And by the way, boss man, where's your donut? What happened to your donut? You traded the donut for coffee so that you could speak 5 times faster and get more work done during that. Okay, well that explains why you sound like a chipmunk that just drank 5 Monster energy drinks. So, okay, well what is Boss Man talking about, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through a demo of how we can take data within our Power App gallery and we can convert it into hard-coded data. So on my screen now, I've got a gallery. Let me just set the context. We've got a couple of screens, right? So I've got a demo Excel, demo Dataverse. These are coming and pulling from different data sources. They are just simple information about a few Lego sets, right? And what we want to be able to do is access these gallery items, which you can do by right-clicking and going to View Code. And this is where you can see it kind of looks like JSON, right? And I'm already using another tip that I had shared previously, but I'll cover real quick now. SVGs, right? Don't link to other images. Use SVGs embedded, so those carry over as well. So you want to make sure you can take advantage of that. But when I come in, I look and see at my items, I can see that it's using something called Lego sets. All right, so let's go look at our data sets. We have a couple here. We've got imported from Excel Lego sets, and then we've got WD Lego sets from Dataverse. So we'll go into that in a moment. Now, the nice thing about the Excel is it's using all these images are referencing things like URLs that are located elsewhere. And so we'll talk about how you can make sure that if they're not, you can carry that over as well. But because it is simply using that data, when I copy this particular code, if I copy this code and I come over to a brand new Power App and a brand new screen and I paste it, then what happens? Well, we see it's broken, right? Because Lego sets does not exist. And so if anybody uses that YAML snippet, then it's going to look broken, and you don't want that. You want to hard code the data. But that might not be self-explanatory on how to make that happen, right? So let's do that. I have a screen called Data Export, and I've got a few buttons down here, and we're going to cover a couple. If we have time, we'll cover things like base64 for your images, but for now, we're going to cover how we can convert this data using JSON. So if I click on this button and I go to OnSelect, we see that I'm doing a couple of things. I'm creating a parameter, and then I'm getting the JSON of the first 6. Now I'm saying 6, I only have 6 in this record set, but you probably don't want, if you've got hundreds of records, you probably don't want to grab all of them. So I'm just saying first in, and I'm grabbing the first 6 records from my Lego sets. And then I'm saying JSON binary include binary data, right? So when I click on that, what happens is it gives me the JSON representation of that, which is great, but on its own of itself is not the format that we need. We need it to be in single quotes and look more like an actual record. It's close, right? But it doesn't have the exact syntax of like single quotes and stuff like that. So you can use a better format using concat, which we'll talk about in a moment. But if you do like the JSON approach, you're not stuck here. You're not having to go in and redo everything. This is actually where you can rely on some Copilot to help you out. So I'm going to come into VS Code, and I'm going to paste in my JSON. And you can see down here at the bottom, I've got a couple things going on. I've already got it formatted as JSON. Oops, I've already got it formatted as JSON. There we go. And then I'm also going to use GitHub Copilot to identify and make a request. And so let me come in here. I'm going to format this document, make it look a little bit better. And then I'm just going to give a basic prompt here. I'm going to give it a prompt, and I will copy this in. And we'll take a look at it. It says, convert the following JSON into Power Apps record syntax that can be used in a gallery control items property. Do not change the spelling of my key values, because sometimes it tries to be more efficient. If my key values have spaces in them, it'll try to be like, oh, you don't want that, and eliminate them. And it then completely changes the reference that the gallery is pointing out, which is a problem. And that may still happen, right? So you got to be aware of it. So I'm going to hit send, and it's going to go off and do its own little working, right? It's looking at my file, and now it says, hey, cool, it's given it to me. In fact, we see now it's updated the format. So I've got the single quote here. All my records are still in double quote, which is great. And then for those items that don't need to be in single quotes, like image URL right there, because it's got a space in it, it leaves the space off. So pretty smart, right? Kind of cool. So I am going to come over here, and I'm going to click the copy button, and I'm going to come back to Power Apps right here. And I'm going to go into my Lego set here under Excel, and I'm just going to delete that. So now we know there's no record set being used there. We see that, we see the red X's, and I'm going to paste. And now we see it's going and showing back up, right? And that's great, excellent, works. So that means that I should be able to come into my code, and now we see my items is showing all of that JSON converted to record syntax for Power Apps that I need it to be. So I'm going to click copy code. I'm going to come over to Power Apps Studio in a brand new app. I'm going to paste, and bada bing, bada boom, everything is working, right? Works great. Excellent. Okay. Well, that's one way. That's just one way. If you don't want to have to deal with VS Code, and you don't want to have to deal with Copilot or the assistants there, then that's okay too. So I'm going to come over to my Dataverse. And I've got essentially the same thing. I just added one new Lego item. It just came out. Love that thing. The Luxo Junior from Pixar. Big Pixar fan. So I adjusted this a little bit. Now that data looks a little different, right? It's not using just URLs. It's actually embedding the image inside of our Dataverse. So you can kind of see that right over here. I'm actually embedding. I do have the URLs, but I've set up the gallery to use these. To use this column here that's actually embedded. And that matters in a moment, because a lot of you might be doing that, right? So when I come over to my tree view here, I'm going to come back to my data export, and I'm going to come over to concat. I'm just going to reset the label. I've just got a label here that's outputting everything for me, so it makes it easier to read. And then I'm going to come up to the concat, and let me expand that. And this is still using, by the way, Lego sets is still using the Excel. This is just another way of concatenating everything. And what it's doing is it's essentially identifying just the things that I need, right? So it's identifying, instead of just taking the full JSON, it's just identifying the columns that I need, still grabbing the first 6 records. But instead of getting every record, if you don't need every record for your gallery, you may only need certain columns. And so you can identify that. And what's nice here is that I've already got the formatting. You can see I've already got single quotes around my my key names, right? So now when I close this up and I click on concat, well, now everything is ready to go. I don't have to go convert it using AI or Copilot or anything like that. So if I just copy this and I come back to Excel and I go back into my Lego set, list items, and I will delete that just to show that everything is blank now, right? And I will paste that in, bam, it's working again, right? So that's using concat, that's another method. Now, if you're using Dataverse, let me come back to my data export, right? And we'll look at Dataverse. It's doing the exact same thing. And in fact, what I've got here now is I'm using concat, but it's using that Lego set image.value. That's the one where it was actually embedded into the data set, into the table, right? So you actually can capture that, but it looks a little weird. And what do I mean? Well, when I click on that, you'll notice that when I go down to my Lego set image, it's referencing AppRes Blob Manager and some reference to an image that's imported inside the data set inside the app, right? So when I take this and copy it, and I go to hard code or paste it into an empty screen that's already in the app, it will work. Oh, let me try that. Oh, you know what? I didn't copy it. Let me go back over here. Sorry, my bad. Let me go back over here, go to view code, copy it. There we go. And actually, you know what? My goodness, I'm losing my mind. I need to copy this. Sorry, copy that. And I need to go into the item sets. That's where I was going. All over the place. I'm ahead of myself. Okay, so now we see what I've done is I've done that, right? I've added it in, and I'm going to copy now that particular gallery, and now that's what I'm going to paste. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to paste, and it works. But when I come into a brand new app and I paste, well, almost everything works, but I'm not getting the images, right? Because it's referencing that app res that I can't get access to. So what can I do? Well, that's where base64 comes in. So if I go back, I'm going to delete this, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go into my data export, clear this out, and I'm going to show you that what I'm doing is on my base64, I'm taking that Lego set and I'm taking the value and I'm converting it into JSON and including binary data. So now you got to be aware that this is going to increase the size of your data set, but that's why we only use a few items in a gallery as sample, right? Only need a little bit of that. So what I'm going to do, I'm also, by the way, kind of cool tip is you don't want to always have to copy, just add that and it'll automatically add it to your clipboard, right? So it's super easy. You don't have to go and select everything and copy it. That'll just automatically add it to your clipboard and you don't even need to worry about it. So I'm going to click on this and now you see it's a lot bigger. And what it's doing is it's giving me the output of that image in base64. So theoretically, I already have that as part of my clipboard, so I don't need to select all this and copy. So if I come back into my Dataverse here and I select all on my items and I delete, just again show there's nothing hidden up this sleeve, nothing hidden up that sleeve, and I not paste there. I paste, oh my goodness, I paste here in items. There we go. Now everything looks to be working, but it looked like it was working before too, right? So if I come in here and I look at the view code, okay, that is different, right? It's not using that AppRes reference. So I'm going to copy code and I'm going to come back over to my hard-coded sample. I'm going to delete what's there and I'm going to paste within the same app. Okay, yep, looking good as expected. Now when I come to a brand new app, then how does that look? And bam, everything is working, right? Simply because now literally everything within my record set is completely modular, standalone. It works on its own. So it can be pasted anywhere and everywhere, has no reference. Of course, I've got the set URL referencing here, but I don't necessarily need it. My image is actually using that Lego set image, this item.lego set image, and you see that right there, right? So it's using the base64 image. So super cool, very accelerated version of this. I will be creating a more in-depth video on this on my own, but I wanted to share it with y'all because I think it's a super cool way. You can do it with a lot of other things too, by the way. I'll cover those in the future, but we do want to get back to the call. And hey, okay, Boss Man is calling back. Why is your coffee mug even bigger this time, Boss Man? Okay, well, I'm glad you got it working. I shared everything with you. We just went over it. Good to know. Hey, what is you want the Power Platform to automatically order you another coffee every time you paste a snippet? Yeah, perfect. Nothing pairs better with snippets than heart palpitations. So best of luck there, Boss Man. Excellent. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe. I don't know. All right. So what are some resources that are available to you? We've got snippet samples available to you. When you actually create snippets and contribute to them, by the way, you can be recognized. You can get that cool Snippet Sorcerer badge that is available. So you can see those snippets at Power Platform Snippets. You can also see all the samples in the community at aka.ms/community/samples, as well as the videos that are available at aka.ms/community/YouTube. So go check all of those resources. They are absolutely free and available to you. All right, let's wrap this call up. I blabbled too long, so I want to thank Denis and Chris for your amazing demos today. Thank you very much. Appreciate everything that you're doing there. We also want to remind you that we've got a Discord server that is available to all of you. So it's a great kind of one-stop shop to work within and collaborate within the community. Definitely check that out. That is also absolutely free. We also would love to get some feedback. If these things are working for you, please let us know. And if there's other areas that you'd like to see improvements, we'd love to hear that as well. Just try to keep it positive. And the recording will be available in 24 hours or less on the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube YouTube channel at aka.ms/community/YouTube. You can subscribe today. You'll be alerted as soon as it is published. You can also follow us on the socials, Twitter/X, Blue Sky, community.ms, LinkedIn at community/LI. The next Microsoft 365 Power Platform bi-weekly call 2 weeks from today, August 28th. Next Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework call will be August 21st. That will include another set of amazing demos. Hugo will be there. I believe Chris will be hosting, so it's going to be entertaining and fun. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week, wonderful rest of the weekend. Once you get there, appreciate all that you're doing. Keep up the amazing work, and please don't hesitate to keep on contributing. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, David, as well.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.